Earlier this week, Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner said that the Obama administration is more than willing to let America go right over the fiscal cliff, and he will not budge on the president's demands to raise taxes on the top income earners.
If Republicans do not agree to that, is the administration prepared to go over the fiscal cliff?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, again, we see there's no prospect to an agreement that doesn't involve those rates going up on the top 2% of the wealthiest Americans. Remember, it's only 2%. And remember, all those Americans, too, get a tax cut into that framework on the first $250,000 of their income.
Well, what if the Obama administration lets it happen? Then what happens to the average American family? Joining us is Republican Congressman from Virginia, Randy Forbes. Congressman, welcome. Good to have you here on the Mike Huckabee Show.
Thank you, Governor.
Let me ask you something. Do you feel like the president actually wants this to happen so that it gives him some political advantage?
Well, Governor, I just have to judge that by two things. First of all, what I'm hearing from my colleagues on the Democratic leadership side, and they've told me as late as last week that they want it to go over the fiscal cliff, because we've argued all along that they'll start by just simply taxing everybody above $200,000, but as you know, that'll continue and they'll lower that rate and lower that limit. They told me they wouldn't vote for anything that didn't tax everybody above $150,000. And the second thing, you look at the president's actions. The president doesn't really want to get an agreement or a compromise. He wants to get his way. And that's why he won't come to the table with any serious proposal and simply talk, because I think if we do that, we can get a solution that everybody could live with.
It does seem that the Republicans have a bit of a messaging problem. I don't understand why there's not more of a conversation that starts with the fact that if these taxes go up, they go up because the Democrats would not extend what has been a Republican proposal to keep them low. Low taxes are what are in place now, and that's a Republican package. If that doesn't happen, the Democrats' package, which higher taxes, is going to go up. I'm not hearing the clarity of that. Why not?
Well, Governor, you certainly aren't, because the orchestrated media want to give you two myths. First of all, they want to act like the president's really negotiating. The president hasn't come to the table with anything. All he does is press conferences. And the second thing they want to give you the illusion of is the fact that if these tax rates go up on everybody above $200,000, somehow or the other, that solves all the other problems. And as you know, that's just a minor point. What I suggested to the conference and to the speaker and the majority leader just this past week is we need to change that dynamic. And what I suggested to them is they take a major conference hall in the Capitol, and every morning the speaker, the majority leader, and the whip and our leadership team walk into the table, sit down at the table and say, we don't want to do anything behind closed doors. We want all the cameras, everybody out here. We're willing to sit down and negotiate and talk about these ideas and principles, but where's the Senate? Where's the president? I do that every single day so the American people, one, can hear what they're actually putting on the table, but secondly, realizing the Senate and the president are just missing in action.
You did a piece for the Daily Caller in which you said the president's holding our national security hostage. What did you mean by that? Well, as you know, Governor, we have had this administration cut national security by $800 billion over the last couple of years, and we've got $500 billion of cuts that are going to come into place in January. That is going to be devastating to our military, and that's based on their own Secretary of Defense and his comments. I had the Army Chief of Staff in my office a week or so ago telling me that they're looking at cutting 80,000 people out of the active duty Army beginning now, and that's before these massive cuts come through. I think the president's had this plan to cut our military, to dismantle it. I think what we're going to see is harmful effects on the American people when we try to defend this country over the next decade. In a word, do you think we avert the train wreck, or do we need to plan on getting a front row seat and watch it happen?
Well, you know, Governor, one of the things that we hear from our constituents around the country is they say, we want you to get an agreement, we want you to work this out, but they always give this caveat. We don't want you to throw our principles under the train. And I think that's what you're going to see the Republicans do. As you mentioned, we have passed a proposal that will stop these huge defense cuts, that will stop these tax rates from going up. We've passed something. The Senate's refused to pass anything the president has. I think they're willing to let it go over the cliff, but we're going to continue to work to try to get that agreement. But in the process, we're not going to throw the fundamental principles that have made this country great out the window, and I think we'll hold firm to that as well.
Well, I certainly hope so. Congressman, thanks for being with us. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you, Governor. Great to be with you.
Well, she was one of America's darlings when she captured the